Great news, everyone. Gwyneth Paltrow has started campaigning to fill the hole in our ozone. You know, I've been really critical of Paltrow in the past for peddling stupid, wasteful, expensive, and sometimes harmful bullshit, but filling the hole in our ozone is a genuinely great cause. Sorry, I'm getting word that I misunderstood this news item and that Gwyneth Paltrow is, in fact, filling her hole with ozone. Filling her own hole with ozone. In a podcast interview with her doctor, Will Cole, I'll get to that, Paltrow admitted that she pays to have ozone blasted into her asshole because some people think that it will deliver oxygen to the body and help fix chronic diseases, amongst other things. It will shock you to learn that there is no convincing scientific evidence for those claims. In fact, what we do know about ozone, which is just, 3 oxygen molecules, is that it is extremely damaging to the lungs if inhaled. It protects us from UV rays from the sun when it's hanging out in the upper atmosphere, but when it gets into the air that we are breathing, like in areas with very bad pollution, like, where poor people live, it can cause problems like pulmonary edema. But chugging ozone, though, isn't even the worst thing Paltrow said during this podcast. I know. I also wish that I were more surprised by that. No, the worst thing she did was discuss her diet. And with that in mind, here's a little content warning. I'm going to be talking about disordered eating.
What's your wellness routine look like now?
I eat dinner early in the evening. I do a nice intermittent fast. I usually eat something about 12. And in the morning, I'll have some things that won't spike my blood sugar, right? So I have coffee, but I really like soup for lunch. I have bone broth for lunch a lot of the days. Try to do 1 hour of movement. So I'll either take a walk or I'll do Pilates or I'll do my Tracy Anderson. And then I get in the sauna. I dry brush and I get in the sauna. So I do my infrared sauna for 30 minutes. And then for dinner, I try to eat, according to paleo. So lots of vegetables. It's really important for me to support my detox.
Paltrow says that her day of eating is coffee, a bowl of bone broth for lunch, and then vegetables, and then she fasts, presumably until the next day's broth. Now, she did follow this up on Instagram to clarify that she doesn't eat like that every day, and sometimes she eats whatever she wants.
This was a transparent look at a conversation between me and my doctor. It's not meant to be advice for anybody else. It's really just what has worked for me, and it's been very powerful and very positive. This is not to say that, I eat this way all day, every day. And by the way, I eat far more than bone broth and vegetables. I eat full meals. And I also have a lot of days of, eating whatever I want and eating, French fries and whatever. But my baseline, and it really has been like to try to be healthy and to eat foods that, will really calm the system down. So I hope that helps.
She also says that she has long COVID and that this helps her. People are pointing out that even with that clarification, that all sounds super messed up. Like, overall, I do think we need to stop judging people for their personal food choices. But Paltrow is, through her own efforts, a very highly regarded influencer for people who want to think of themselves as healthy and thoughtful and, let's face it, rich. The rules are different for her. Hell, they're even different for me because I have an audience. And if I were on a podcast and they asked what I ate yesterday, I could honestly say that yesterday I ate a lot like Gwyneth Paltrow. I had a dry piece of toast for breakfast, nothing for lunch, and steamed bok choy for dinner. And am I healthy? No. Seriously, I have food poisoning right now. I'm not joking. For the past 48 hours, everything I eat, my intestines just rebel upon and turn into something ungodly. And yeah, that's the meal plan that worked for me yesterday. But I wouldn't go on a podcast and then smile and say that eating like this is great. I love it. I'm so full of energy because of it. Because I'm not. It's not great. If I ate like that every day, I would literally die of malnourishment, just like Gwyneth Paltrow would if she weren't apparently on constant IVs, which brings me to my next point. Paltrow apparently gets fluids delivered intravenously so often she has favorites. Seriously, listen to her talk about various IV supplements the way a hipster talks about his favorite triple IPA.
As we're recording this right now, you have a little IV, so which is so on brand for both of us. We pod and IV at the same time.
I'm really embarrassing myself right here.
People want to ask about IVs.
I love an IV. I'm an early IV adopter. Glutathione, I love to have in an IV. Kind of a random, more fringy one. Phosphatidylcholine, that's my favorite IV when I can find them. They're quite hard to find.
Yeah.
And those make me feel so good. But this today, just because I was flying, I have just a bag of good old-fashioned vitamins.
This is a really great little hint that Paltrow's diet is, in fact, pretty messed up, because that random, more fringy supplement she mentioned, phosphatidylcholine, you know how else you can get that besides using needles to inject it directly into your veins? You can eat a fucking egg. Oh, unless you're vegan, at which point you'll have to work really hard to find it in a little-known food we call the soybean. Eat a fucking soybean, Gwyneth Paltrow. Jesus Christ, I actually did the math for you on this. It's half a calorie. You can eat it and still be a wispy waif who can't wear baggy clothing on windy days lest you be carried out to sea. Sorry, I'm getting a little agitated. Probably because I haven't had enough calories today to support basic brain function. Speaking of which, I assume Gwyneth Paltrow's lawyer is on the same meal plan as her, because I happened to see this clip of him at the trial she's currently involved in. I guess she and some other guy collided while skiing, and now he's suing her. This is what happens when you eat nothing but bone broth and get all your nutrients from a sack that just drains into your veins.
$1 bill. Gwyneth was hurt by Mr. Sanderson's negligence. When he came up behind her, paralleled her, and went. She says she has a prior knee problem. She was worried about it. She separated from him with help. Then boyfriend came up, and she is upset. She has, anyone sustaining a blow is upset.
And my God, I just realized I haven't even gotten to her doctor, who is supposedly overseeing all of this and is the host of the podcast where she's talking about it. Like I said 2 years ago when Paltrow first pitched this grift, Dr. Will Cole is actually an anti-vaccine chiropractor who got his degree from a diploma mill and who wrote a book called Intuitive Fasting, which is what Paltrow seems to be doing in between her dinner vegetables and her lunchtime broth treat. Look, there are a lot of intersecting issues here that I don't want you to get mixed up on. The average person shouldn't have their chosen diet unwillingly scrutinized and judged by total strangers. It's between them and their real doctor. But in this case, Paltrow is in no way the average person. And it sucks for Paltrow that she apparently has long COVID. And I understand the desperation that many people will feel when trying to combat a condition that the larger society as a whole has decided isn't a big deal and shouldn't be prioritized. But what sucks even more than having long COVID is that for all of her money and fame and privilege, Paltrow doesn't seem to have chosen to be under the care of a real science-based doctor who's trying to effectively treat her condition. Instead, she's sitting across the table from someone who seems to me like a grifter who chuckles at the fact that she is fighting malnourishment with nonstop IVs and is blasting her rectum with ozone. I wish she'd stop spreading this bullshit to her huge audience. And also, I just really wish she would get help. Now, if you'll excuse me, it's time for my 12 o'clock phosphatidylcholine supplement, by which I mean a bowl of miso soup. Look it up, Gwyneth. It's like bone broth for vegetarians with food poisoning.
Beep, 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 beep. Yeah, good job. Good job, Gwyneth.
Hey everybody, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like. If you loved the video, please subscribe. And if you think the world could use more videos like this and you happen to have a few bucks laying around, head to patreon.com/Rebecca and join an awesome community of nerds like the people whose names you see on the screen right now. Thanks.